This concert has been 18 months in the making. Gary Snowden, who was then General Manager of the Albany Entertainment Centre, approached one of the members of the orchestra and said, there is a grant that you might be interested in. And they said, well, there's a talented young composer down here called Seb Harris, and we'd really like to invite him to write a piece for the orchestra. And so that's where it started, really. We were successful with the grant. Really, after that point was a lot of collaboration.
Albany is a great place to live for a classical musician. There's opportunities and creativity all around. The dawn service tradition is very strong here. I was interested to learn that on occasions of memorial and commemoration, the flag of death was once believed to fly at the peak of the pole when we lower the flag to half-mast. It certainly changed the way I experienced the minute of silence after we lower the flag to half-mast. I think of all of the hardships and suffering that have been endured by generations earlier than mine, and this piece is really it's a reflection on how we experience remembrance. And the military theme is very significant for us. Of course, it's very poignant, but I wanted to express something different. So strings really changed it straight away.
It's sort of a hymn and a waltz, which is, if you think about it, quite an interesting contrast.
I included a waltz because, for me, it's significant of the normal life and enjoyment of peacetime that people were able to return to after the end of World War I. Including a hymn in the piece, it was significant for me because I grew up in the church, and singing in Anzac Day choirs is something I've done. A hymn represents to me Thanksgiving. I did want to really include it significantly at the beginning and at the end. In the beginning as a straight hymn, but at the end with the cello solo. The motif for the flag of death itself is played on the viola in artificial harmonics, while the violins are playing the ordinary flag motif down lower. That's very literal, literal symbolism.
As the piece unfolds, the ideas of reflection and this meditative quality almost at its heart makes for a really, really rewarding piece, and he's done a fantastic job.
Burhan Guner is fantastic to work with. He knows music. He's worked all over the world, and I was struggling to think of someone who could put together quite the concert that he has.
I think it's important that we play our own music, that Australians play Australian music. If we're not going to play Australian music, who else will?
It's a really landmark concert. I can't think of many concerts where every piece in the whole concert is by an Australian composer.
Putting on a concert like this one is immensely rewarding.
Working with the Albany Chamber Orchestra is fantastic. They're all mad keen on chamber music. We have great musicians of a high standing. And Burhan Guner is a musical powerhouse.
The fact that we can have a collaboration is such a wonderful experience. Normally, when you're putting on a concert, you don't get so involved. You learn the music and you rehearse it, but there's not that emotional connection with what you're doing.
I'm overcome by the audience response. They listened intently, and the feedback was many and varied. One lady said to me she felt it came from the heart, and it was a great compliment. People had different interpretations. One lady interpreted the high cello solo as one person's experience when separated from war and from their family, finding peace. It meant a lot that a Vietnam veteran approached me afterwards and told me that it really resonated with him. I feel like I've achieved what I could, more than I could dream of, really. It's a great privilege to be among such an audience. I love to see people happy.
This project and working with Seb and the Albany Chamber Orchestra has been a fantastic experience. I would go as far as saying one of the most satisfying that I've done.